Are you ready, monkey? Oh, look at you. You're so ready. You're the readiest dog ever. Look at you, just like the most ready dog that's ever existed, aren't you? Yes, you are. Let's do this. Let's go. Come on. Bam. There it is. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Houston with a Problem. It's Friday. Last show for probably the next week. Because I've got a whole bunch of work I gotta do. Gotta move, gotta clean, gotta do construction, gotta blah. So, let's get it all out on the table here. Let's see what's going on. First of all, GameStop went yesterday and then today. The number of shares sold yesterday were almost 100 million shares. Absolutely ridiculous. Today the volume was much lower. What I see is that there's probably so many failures to delivers that happened yesterday that the T35s might be kind of bonkers. So look for that. That would come about first week of May, second week of May, somewhere in there. The folks reading the terms of the convertible bonds being issued by GameStop to a private investor are all super hyped for April 7th, which is that a Monday? Is that April 7th? April 7th, yeah, April 7th is a Monday, so a week from this Monday. Merger Monday, some sort of announcement being made, because they take possession of the money that those bonds are paying for on the 6th. And so everyone's like, there's got to be something happening on the 7th. I will believe it when I see it. I will, hope and pray and cross my fingers and twiddle my thumbs and stroke my chin and rub some ears and slap a butt or two. Hoping that something happens by the 7th. I think the most promising news happening right now is the fact that the unsecured creditors are no longer listed in the BBBY dockets, that they are basically paid, essentially, according to the court. We've not seen anybody who has bonds get paid yet. Today was the date listed as when those bonds are supposed to be paid. It is a coinkydink that the amount for the unsecured credit and the amount of the outstanding the amount of the convertible bonds are about the same. So folks are, people are want to find all sorts of correlations and coincidences and say, hey, this money is being used to pay off the unsecured creditors in BBBY so that there's a windfall from everything else to the folks in Class 9 of BBBY. Again, I will believe it when I see it. Until then, this. We'll see how it goes. If there's some sort of corporate action or hearing or filing from somebody, that would be really, really nice. So, here we sit and wait and twiddle our thumbs. The SPY crashed hard today. Down, 700, or the Dow was down 750. The market in general just took a giant dump. Yeah, SPY went from 566 down to after hours 554, so it dropped about 12. The Dow Jones dropped from 42,200 and has bottomed out around 41,500. So yeah, 700 or so. The inflation is back up again. Unemployment claims are up. We have basically vaporized the entire auto industry, so we expect millions to be unemployed if Trump follows through with his plans for putting tariffs on any vehicle part that comes from overseas, because almost all vehicles sold in the United States have parts that come from overseas. Luxury brands like Ferrari are already adding a premium to their prices, which don't affect the yous and me's. That affects the rich people who actually don't give a shit. But they're increasing their prices automatically 10% right now, just on the fears that tariffs are going to make them more expensive to get into the U.S. Even Elon's having a hissy fit about it, because he's like, look, dummy, we make our cars in the U.S., but not all the parts are available in the U.S. We got to import them from elsewhere, which is true. I mean, like, window wiper motor probably comes from China. The window wiper blade may come from Japan, right? The door lock mechanism might come up from a factory in Mexico. It's just, you know, sometimes you engineer your own parts. Sometimes you go in the market and say, hey, who has this thing that you make 100 million of, and we put into every car on Earth, because who gives a shit if they're like different? This is the type of stuff that was happening during COVID, that you know, the social distancing and shutdowns and waves of COVID passing through factories and stuff resulted in the supply chain shutting down. And because almost everything is part of the global supply chain, you had cars that were completed, done. Like think of Nissan Altima, right? The thing is 99.9% finished, but you can't sell it because there's no wiper motor. Because the wiper motor was made in a factory in Wuhan. So they have to sit there and wait for this car to finish, because you can't sell a car that can't wipe rain off the windshield. It's against the law, right? You had other cars when there was supply chain problems with computer chips, right? The cars were getting finished, they're getting delivered to the dealerships, but they couldn't be sold yet because they're waiting for chips to arrive, and then the technicians are supposed to take those chips and then plug them into the ports on the car for the ECU and all those things. And we're just now going to like make this happen all over again. So, how to get around it? Shell corporations. Beep-boo, 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 right? You create a shell corporation. That shell corporation now purchases the wiper blades from China at a penny each and pays a 25% tariff on that. So you're paying a quarter of a penny on every single one of those wiper blades. And once that wiper blade gets into the United States, then you charge full retail to the manufacturer, and that's how you're going to get around it. They're going to find all sorts of loopholes for this stuff. And there we go. What's happening, monkey? In Florida, ICE is grabbing Cubans all over the place. This tells me two things. One, they don't actually care about legal status of any of these immigrants. They don't. You can be here for asylum. You can be here as a green card. You can be here on a visa. Like, they're still grabbing you. Legal status has nothing to do with them wanting to get you. Two, the fact that they're grabbing Cubans like crazy across Florida tells me that they do not care about elections in 2028, because there won't be any. Because if they cared about elections, they would know that they're immediately going to lose Florida due to the fact that they're, you know, fucking with the Cuban community, which you can't do and win an election. So a whole bunch of these Cubans are now in like the big old "the leopards ate my face" movement, and it's bonkers. Also, it looks like we may be preparing to invade Greenland and take over Greenland from the Danes. There's a big old like state visit from Vance and his wife, and they had minions of the administration literally going door to door, knocking on doors, like, "Hey, would you like a visit from the Vice President of the United States?" And people were like, "Slam." And so there's like no fanfare, no one's greeting them at the airport. Like, they're getting off the plane and be like, "Well, we're in Greenland now," and then like no one cares. The people of Greenland do not want them there. They don't want to be part of the United States. They are disgusted by all this, as well as the international community. Prime Minister Carney of Canada called Trump today and basically told him to go fuck himself. And Trump's response was to be like, "We had very productive talks with Canada. They're a very proud people." He just totally caved to Carney. So here's what I think you have to do as an international leader. You have to tell Trump that he's a human piece of garbage, and you're not going to stand for it, and he can go fuck himself. And then Trump will automatically cave to you. If you try to flatter his ego, he's going to be like, "Oh, I can get away with more," and then he's going to take more from you. So stop flattering his ego, call him a piece of shit to his face, and he will immediately be like, "Yes, Daddy, thank you. Would you like to spank me again?" Because that's who he is. I'm pretty sure he has a humiliation fetish. And the reason why he was called Diaper Don was not because he's actually wearing diapers now, but because he liked it in the bedroom. So yeah, I say be mean to him. Be mean. Be absolutely cruel. If If you're in a position of power of any kind, you be cruel to him and you tell him what's what, and he will cave to you in an instant, because that's who he is. So, that being said, shabap. Let me scratch your butt. I'm gonna scratch your butt. There we go. Butt scratches. Dog who's completely unfazed. She's like, oh. Okay. Brendan Wells, sup. Brendan Wells, D. Chris Taylor, number 2. Chris Taylor says, sup. Brendan Wells, sup. Do you think Nio Labs will survive? I had a brief phone call with Ron yesterday. I'm not going to talk about everything that we talked about, because some things I'm not allowed to talk about because we relate to me. I did tell him that he needs to go look at T0. And he said he's going to do that and look at the possibility of blockchaining his stock and forcing shorts to close positions. And he was like, interesting. So he is looking at that. He had got another phone call, so I didn't have a chance to ask him to come on the show and discuss. But he did talk about how the intellectual property valuation for the company is huge compared to the market value. They've had some auditors come in, look at their IP and go, this is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Why is your stock at 87 cents or whatever? So, yeah, so hopefully I'll talk to him again and we can discuss further about that. So, but beyond that, I think Nio Labs in some form will survive. Whether it will thrive or not in the near term, I have no idea. So I'm trying to get him on here, and we can discuss things again. Bill Coyne, Super Chats. Folks, posting comments does nothing to change the political situation. We need boots on the ground. We need boots on the ground, whining on phone calls, marching, shaking angry fist. If you happen to see a bunch of ICE agents harassing somebody, film them, get in front of them. Be like, hey, why are you doing this? Show the warrant. Do you have a warrant? I'm an advocate for this person. Because remember, if they can get away with disappearing legal residents and saying they have no due process, then they can get rid of you and claim there's no due process. They can just strip you of your citizenship, be like, this dude isn't a citizen anymore, therefore due process isn't required. These are the baby steps that an authoritarian regime does, and then ultimate goal is to have absolute power over everybody. So by all means, you have to put yourself on the line at some point, right? Because if you don't, then you are just part of the horrible machine. And do you want to live like that? Do you want that on your conscience, in your heart? Knowing that you're a giant puss bag who doesn't stand up to bullies and pieces of shit? I mean, if ICE comes to your town, be as mean to ICE as possible. That's the modern Gestapo. Be mean to them. Film them. Follow them. Harass them. Yell at them. Scream. March. Have signs. Slap stickers on things. Just make their lives fucking miserable. Because if you're loud enough, and you do, it starts becoming part of the narrative. And then everyone hates them. And then everyone feels emboldened to go out there and yell and scream and kick and shout and do everything else. So, yeah, it takes boots on the ground. ICE was here the last administration. ICE came out, and we have a native reservation across the bridge here, and where ICE has no jurisdiction. And they set up camp in the casino there, and they were harassed so badly by everybody that they left. So, it works. It works. You can scream and yell and be as mean to these guys as possible, and they will leave. Because in their brains, they're like a big, strong hero man doing big, strong hero things. And if all they see is people tell them that they're pieces of garbage and they should go die, then it changes the narrative in their head. They're like, oh. Some of them maybe double down and be like, oh, yeah, well, I'll show you. Others are like, what am I doing? I am not the big, strong hero man I thought I was. I am hated by everybody and no one likes me. Maybe I should reevaluate my life's choices, right? Yeah. And it seems to me pretty apparent that the ICE crowd has quotas they have to meet where, they're getting told, you need to find 100 gang members. And so they're just plucking anybody with a Hispanic last name and a tattoo. See that poor guy who got picked up for his gang tattoo, and it was a rainbow ribbon with his brother's name for autism awareness. That's a gang tattoo. Now that guy is now being tortured in an El Salvadorian prison as a result of being an ally for his little brother with autism. Like, this is what we're becoming. This is America. This is the America we are. And, you know, I'm sure I'll get 5 more comments, be like, here's another political show. Well, I'm sorry that you have no soul. Fuck you. Hey, man up, girl up, whatever you need to do. Generate an ethos that has some sort of form of empathy, because otherwise I just don't give a shit what you think. If you have zero empathy in your life, you have no feelings other than just like greed or something, I don't need you. Go watch someone else's show. Go be a dick over there. You don't need to be in here. I don't want like little minions of the state watching my show. Who cares? Fuck off. I don't need you. Just, yeah. I'm here for the cool people, not the little authoritarian bootlicking douchebags. I'm not going to do anything to support you in any way, shape, or form. So go away. Anyway, Charles Bronson. Houston. This BBY play has taken a while, but if you think about it, the people that work with bankruptcies are used to taking years, so we are no different. To only help ease your mind and my own. It's true. I mean, the longest bankruptcy of all time was 6 years and change. I recently just got beaten by Sears, which is now the longest bankruptcy case of all time. From bankruptcy to plan, this was very fast. The execution of the plan and clawing back money on this one is a little more robust than previous bankruptcies. Usually the board, you know, if they're bad actors, they gut everything, they give themselves huge bonuses, they walk away, thing goes into bankruptcy, and then that's that. There's definitely an activist behind this. The reason why Goldberg got hired was specifically to claw money back from the board who made those cataclysmic decisions that violated their fiduciary responsibility. And that does not happen in other bankruptcies. Usually the fiduciary irresponsibility goes unpunished and infinitely rewarded as they move on to the next company to go gut. And that's not happening in this one. That should be a red flag to all the little shills who are like, bankruptcy never come back, your money's gone. Because you don't see this happening in other bankruptcies. You don't see the board getting sued by the guys running the estate for basically stealing billions of dollars. And you're seeing that in this one. And that's a big deal. Especially if all of a sudden the unsecured creditors are paid off and there still hasn't been a settlement in the lawsuit against the board, which could amount to bajillions, right? Remember, they spent $11.5 billion irresponsibly on stock buybacks when they should have focused on like not having too much debt or buying product for their stores, things like that. They went bankrupt specifically because they did stock buybacks rather than reinvesting in the company. And it should set a precedent for other boards doing the same thing. That's for sure. But yeah, we just gotta, twiddle them thumbs until they're stubs. Mr. E-Machine, how much of their money do you think wealthy individuals keep with the hedge funds? That's a good question. There are rich people, worth $1 billion who take hundreds of millions of it and give it to a buddy there's a hedge fund to run. I think most of the hedge fund money, though, is coming through shell corporations. It is a form of money laundering, if you will. So imagine you have a hedge fund. And you remember, to join a hedge fund as a client, you have to be an accredited investor. You have to have at least $1 million that you can invest minimum. And some hedge funds, privately make that higher. There's hedge funds like, I think it was Melvin, that didn't have had only 16 investors in it or something like that. And it was managing $16 billion. So basically it's $1 billion per person in the hedge fund or per entity. A lot of hedge funds, their investment comes from the Seychelles, from the Cayman Islands, from Bahamas, Belize, Panama, Cyprus, Singapore, through shell corporations. And if you are a gangster, a drug runner, a warlord, a despot, right? you have to remove your money from your nation because you don't want to leave it in your country because then if there's a coup, it can all disappear, right? So you remove that money and you put it into these banking safe havens around the world. And then it has to do something, right? And so you set up shell corporations, and then those shell corporations take that money and they give them to hedge funds to go manage because you want to grow your wealth, right? And it's a great way to grow your wealth via a shell corporation that is not directly tied to you because the money's now with a hedge fund, right? And so I think a lot of the money that hedge funds are managing are coming from these sort of illicit activities through shells, which is why folks like Anson Funds, Citron Research, Hindenburg Research, if and when they get picked up by the FBI for market manipulation, which who knows how these cases are going to go now that we've got basically an FBI that's run by a cokehead. But, these dudes have to flip because, they're managing money from a warlord. Warlords don't want to lose their money. Just watch Casino Royale. See what happens to the money manager when he loses all their money in a poker game. Right? Like Lafik? No more Lafik. So that's where a lot of these hedge funds get their money. They aren't just like, dapper, prim and proper, getting money from like old money, northeastern guys. No, they're managing money through, ABC LLC of the Caymans, and ABC LLC is owned by DEF shell company, which is owned by Coney 2012, right? Like these dudes, they're behind this money are scary. Billionaires are scary enough. They're all sociopaths to begin with. These warlords, drug cartels, despots, right? These guys are the most terrifying people on the planet. They're devoid of any norms of society, and they just want their money to be safe. And so if a hedge fund blows up and they got some of these guys as clienteles, people are going outside of windows. Families are getting murdered. It's going to be rough going because there are not enough legit family billionaires, decamillionaires, centimillionaires to feed the amount of money going to these hedge funds legitimately. That's why, 40% of investment in the United States comes from offshore. And most of that is from places like the Caymans, Cyprus, Bahamas, British Virgin Islands, Belize, Cyprus, that's just how it's working. And so it'd be interesting to see kind of what happens to all these hedge fund managers. I'm guessing that a lot of them have found to have committed suicide by shooting themselves 21 times when this is all over. So, Single. Show every day until the big move. This is awesome. I'm trying to do it, but next week, probably not any shows. We'll try, but I have a lot of work I gotta do. So things better not be crazy next week because I won't have time to read. I won't have time to do anything. I just have to work because obviously I have not done enough packing yet. I have so much packing I gotta do. And the rooms downstairs are disgusting and I have to clean them. I have to probably re-drywall in places. Fix sinks that are broken. I'm not the tidiest person in the world, but I'm not that filthy. And I don't understand. I don't. You're not that filthy, and you're a dog. You're cleaner than that. Look at this dog right here. I give this dog a bath once a year, and she does not reek because she's not disgusting. She's got the wash and wear coat. She doesn't smell like ass because she's just not a disgusting creature. And human beings could learn from that, right? Your waddle. Yep. So much bleach. So much bleach is getting used. Lone Wolf, Houston. Everywhere I look on the internet, it states that shareholders of BBBY are out of luck. Overstock got all rights in bankruptcy. Point me to a reliable source that states otherwise, please. Overstock got IP in bankruptcy. They did not get the shell corporation. The shell corporation still exists. The estate still exists. There's a going concern that owns the ticker. People are like, we can't own the ticker. The ticker's assigned, but fuck you. They have rights to the ticker. So there's still a shell corporation there. The pieces can get sold off, but the shell corporation is still there. It could be used as a SPAC. It can be used as a reverse merger into another entity, which then, if you hold that stock, you now hold stock in that new entity as well. That is where the ka-ching is, right? Remember, other companies have gone bankrupt. Other companies have been sold off piecemeal, but the shell has remained. Washington Mutual was worthless. It was seller box below a penny. When it emerged through a merger, it was worth $73 a share. So you could have bought this thing sub penny, and then a couple years later, when it was used as a SPAC for a reverse merger, $73 a share. So it's there. That's what we're looking for. We don't give a shit about selling towels at this point, or binkies or whatever. This is all about being used as a SPAC to reverse merger into something else, so it can be a holding company or a larger umbrella. You can bring something else that's not on the market to the market, and without having to do an IPO. That's where the juicy part is. First day auctions. So the bond buyers shorted the shit out of GME to make up fire the interest-free bonds. Wait. So the bond buyers shorted the shit out of GME to make up fire the interest-free bonds. Make up fire. To make up fire the interest-free bonds. Make up for the interest-free bonds? I think you might say to make up for the interest bonds makes sense. The algorithm reads, convertible bonds, dilution, and they just hammer the thing. And the shorts went crazy, and the algorithm was like, sell everything, even if you have it or not. And I think they naked shorted like crazy yesterday. Even then, they couldn't get it below 21. It ruined my options. Those went blink. But in the long term, the fact they couldn't get it below 21 is pretty telling. It's going to probably steadily rise back up. We'll see what happens. If there's some sort of announcement on the 7th, which would be pretty awesome. Merger Monday. But yeah, Monkey, what do you think? Yeah, is that what you think? Oh, oobadoo. Jason Blackwell, hey Jason. If you walk far enough north, you start walking south. If you walk east, you never walk west. Figure that one out, Mr. Smarty Pants. Latitude and longitude, man. If you are on the South Pole, any direction you go is south. What? Yeah, you can't not go south. If you're on the North Pole, you can't not go south. If you're on the South Pole, you can't not go north. That's what's crazy. Yeah. Weird. Tristan Cates, do you think Tesla will crash the next few months? I'm really counting on it. Yes. It had a dip today. TSLA. Yep. Went from 275 down to 261 after hours. Had a good drop today. Their quarter one reporting will come out sometime towards the end of April. Estimates are it'll be April 22nd. It's going to be bad. It's going to show that sales have dropped off significantly. It's going to show, the 8th recall on these Cybertrucks, that they can't figure out how to fix the parts without glue, because somehow they don't realize you have to have a frame in your truck. Like a frame is pretty awesome. If you're not gonna have a frame, you just need a monocoque body where the body is the frame. But this is like a roll cage, and everything else just sort of just glued on there. So there's no rigidity to the bed. The paneling just peels off because it's just glued on there. It's not like sheet metal that has been bent and riveted in place so that it doesn't do that. It's garbage. Yeah, and international sales are going to be 0 or close to it. You don't want to be a person in one of these countries buying a Tesla and then facing the wrath of a European who loves to start fires in protests. You're gonna be target number 1 easily. So no, Tesla's toast. So Elon did his, like, we merged X into XAI. It's now an $80 billion company with a fully stock, whatever. He's gonna have to merge XAI into Twitter next, or into Tesla next, because Tesla's not gonna be worth anything as well. And it's gonna be all stock deals, now $1 trillion company. And I mean, Elon's own Grok thinks he is the devil. You can go on Twitter right now, ask Grok who is the worst person on earth, and Grok is like, Elon Musk by far. Grok, why would you say this? Because he's evil. Don't you think he's going to shut you off? He might, right? No, Grok don't care. So, yeah, if your own product thinks you're the most evil thing on earth, then what are you going to do about that? GME, Houston. Looks like they coiled GME in order to get a preferable rate on the wrap yesterday. Might be a few weeks until it recovers. Sorry, not wrap. The VWAP yesterday. Might be a few weeks until it recovers. I think that there's a boatload of naked sales that happened yesterday, and that the T35s are going to play out, and we're going to get a big old push. I'm hoping, gotta basically start the options run back over again. But if I can get it, get back up to 25K, somewhere around there, that will give me the ability to buy a couple hundred GME options for May. And that might be pretty rad, don't you think? Yeah? Yeah? Because then I can turn that into a couple $100,000 if we get that volatility from it. So yeah, I think you're right. It has coiled big time. I mean, it was an $8 drop basically from its high of $29.90 was its pre-market high yesterday, and they crashed it down to 21 and change. That's a huge drop. Huge drop. Belgian whale sold my $35 worth of puts for $300 yesterday. When it closed, they were about 2,000. Yeah, it happens. We wild. Hey bud, give my love to Monkey, but along with the treat, please. Also, Miss Mexican Coke, Sprite, and Fanta. Can you mail me a box? What I can do? What I can do for you? Wonk. Yeah? Does it make you happy? What happy dogs like? Oh. There you go. Yeah. Get it. Get it, dude. Gone through about half of these guys. Yeah, munch, munch, munch. Delicious pig ears. Belgian whale. On the other hand, I use my put selling money to buy 1,000 shares at $21.50. That's gonna be call selling shares when we rock it up. Not too shabby. That gets you 10 of those suckers. You can even probably, sell 5 out of the money right now for 50 or 100 bucks a week until IV goes up. Not too shabby. Frozen Productions, how do zircon crystals trap uranium? Ooh. I think most of the zircon crystals were formed early Earth. So we're talking when the cratons were forming, which are like the bits that the continents are built on. And the uranium, I believe, are impurities in the zircon crystals. And so some of the oldest pieces we've ever found of Earth are in these zircon crystals, the ones that were found in the outback in Australia, I believe. They do the uranium lead dating on those, if I remember correctly. Zircon, uranium, lead dating, Australia. Here we go. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking about. Oops, that's nothing. That is Google Earth. Boop. We want you. And then you, and then you. All right, zircon chronology dating the oldest material on Earth. What are the oldest rocks on Earth, and how do they form? The material that holds the greatest insight into these fundamental questions, because it can contain a record of some of the earliest history of Earth, is a mineral named zircon. For example, a few grains of zircon found in the early 1990s in sandstone from Western Australia date back to 4.2 to 4.3 billion years, and we know from meteorites that the Earth is not much older than 4.56 billion years. We know that because there's a meteorite called a carbonaceous chondrite, which is the first condensed rocky material that formed out of the dust disk of the early solar system. So when the sun like collapses down, right, it spins a lot and the dust comes out. And really close to the sun is very hot, but it's kind of like it's blocked by all that dust. And so it gets cool pretty close to the sun, and material can start to coalesce from vapor into rock, and they smack into each other and make these things called carbonaceous chondrites, which are only formed as condensate out of a gas cloud and not through volcanics or anything like that. And so in Mexico in the 1960s, they found a meteorite, carbonaceous chondrite meteorite, and it dates back to 4.56 billion years, which is how we know that's how old the solar system is, thus about how old the Earth is when it first formed. So, moving on. Geology professors Daryl Henry of Louisiana State University and Paul Mueller of the University of Florida are expert practitioners of several techniques that can extract precise age information from zircons. They're searching for some of the oldest rocks in the continental crust for zircons within them and the clues zircons contain about the formation of the planet. Originally formed by crystallization from magma. There you go. So you got a magma, and if the magma doesn't go flock, right, and explode outwards and then cool quickly, and is allowed to sit for a while, you get things like gabbros, which are basically basalt that starts to have crystals form inside of it as it slowly cools. Zircon is one of those crystals that can form, or metamorphic rocks. So metamorphic rock, you have a rock that gets cooked and baked, and then crystals are able to form out of that as well. Are so durable and resistant to chemical attack, they rarely go away. They may survive many geologic events, which can be recorded in rings of additional zircon that grows around the original crystals like tree rings. Like a tiny time capsule, zircon records these events, each one of which may last hundreds of millions of years. Meanwhile, the core of the zircon itself remains unchanged and preserves the chemical characteristics of the rock in which it originally crystallized. So here's one showing the rings around it, and then the original zircon in the middle there. Zircon contains radioactive element uranium, which Dr. Mueller calls the clock within the zircon, because it converts to the element lead at a specific rate over a long span of time. According to Mueller, this makes zircons the most reliable natural chronometer that we have, and we want to look at the earliest part of Earth's history. The half-life, I think, on uranium for uranium zircon is like 1.3 billion years, somewhere around there. So if you have like a kilogram of uranium, after 1.3 billion years, you now have 500 grams of uranium and 500 grams of lead. And then another 1.3 billion years, you are all of a sudden down to 250 grams of uranium and 750 grams of lead. And then after 1.3 billion years, you're down to 125 grams of uranium and then 875 grams of lead. And so the half-life ticks off every time. So it's a very, very accurate clock. So yeah. I don't need to read this whole thing. I kind of explained most of it. Now they're going to talk about how they're discovered. But you're going to find these ancient zircons in places like the Craton in Western Australia. The best exposed Craton in North America is like Ontario. I think the officially oldest rocks ever recorded were on Ontario at 3.5 billion years, somewhere around there. And they may have zircons that date back earlier inside those rocks. Yeah, there you go. There's your quick rundown of uranium and zircon. Okay. First day production is Houston. Why does it rain? Because the sun comes out. The air gets warm. It rises, where then cools, condenses into clouds, and then rains. Lone Wolf. Chase Blackwell. Due to the fact that longitudinal lines converge and cross and latitudinal are parallel. This is also true. And Stuart, Houston. GME has hosed us to this point. I'd rather talk baseball. What do the Rockies need to do other than spend money to turn it around? I'm not too up on what the Rockies are doing. But yeah, spend money is a big deal for them. Also, hitters love to go there because the ball travels well at a mile up. Pitchers hate going there. So you need pitchers that can change speed really, really, really well, because their balls aren't going to have the same movement they do at sea level. So you need pitchers that throw a fastball at 100 and throw a changeup at 85. You just need that. You just need that 15 mile an hour differential and have them do it really well. And a couple of dudes who could probably throw some not necessarily sinking fastballs, but balls that sort of die at the end of the plate. Split ball pitchers do well up there. Yeah, that's probably what you need. You just need to find some pitchers, you know, you have to pay them a boatload. You got to pay them way more than you would for a C-level team to get them to go there. But that's gonna be the key. Is that you have to mess up the timing of the hitters. So you're gonna have to need pitchers that throw it hard one way and throw it real soft the other, and find their points. You know, you need a dude that can hit their spots. And like simple pitching would work at altitude, where you throw something up and in at 95 to 100 that makes them back off the plate, and you throw something slow and away, makes them stick their butt out and chase it. And that's how you're gonna be successful up in Mile High City. So there you go. And 9 Houston, delaying packing like usual. Yes. Any word on those bonds being paid out? They don't get paid out until the 6th. We're talking about the BBBY bonds. Well, GME does not receive the money from the bonds until the 6th. I have no idea if any of the BBBY bonds have actually been paid out, but they're not showing up on Pacer or in Kroll anymore. Also, Trump is praising Carney to make voters think Carney is pro-Trump. I hear railroads, radio ads on the hour about it. Oh yeah, I mean, at this point, Pierre doesn't stand a chance in Canada. I mean, Carney's out there being like, hey, we have a lot of work ahead of us. We're going to have to accomplish things at a faster rate than we've ever thought possible. But we're Canadians and we can do this. And Pierre is like, Canada's doomed. And the Canadians are going to gravitate to Carney. They love him. And they hate Trump. And Carney's saying all the right things. No one's dumb enough to actually believe that Carney is like sucking up to Trump and that Trump's his guy now. He basically said, like, it's gonna be tough, but we're gonna have to extricate ourselves from the United States. We've built up over decades an economic and social relationship with the United States, and we're going to have to separate ourselves from that, and it's gonna be tough. But the U.S. can't be trusted. Woo. The pollen is killing me right now. I've got my allergy meds in me, but without it raining, it's rough. I also have a neighbor who's using a blower, and I thought they made the blowers illegal on the island, but that really didn't seem to do anything. Still making a lot of noise. The next door neighbor will do 2 blowers at the same time, 5 days a week, once the sun comes out, and it is infuriating. Where was I? I did that one. And 9, I bet money that this new clip about it today, I'll be hearing it taken out of context on new radio ads next week. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Did you know that Carney is now in Trump's pocket? Yeah, get crap like that. Murph Studios. I say if we're going to use AI to meme Miyazaki anime, we should make it do the most fucked up parts of American history. I tried to get GTP to make one of Kent State, but no bueno. Really wouldn't do that one? You just say, how about you submit the picture itself, or say, hey, can you make a Miyazaki version of Kent State? Yeah. But yeah, Miyazaki is like dying on the inside. Everyone posting that stuff. Charles Bronson, see Monkey Better. Watch vids from years ago. Ken Griffin, DMV, Plotkin were grilled. They knew Robin Hood was guilty, acted on camera like they knew, but done nothing. Don't feel safe. Rant, please. Doge is inside the SEC right now. They're inside the SEC, and they're going to fire enforcers, regulators, and lawyers. They're going to get rid of them so that the SEC is toothless and can't do anything. The soon-to-be head of the SEC, he does not want the CAT system, so we'll have no ability to track these trades and see who's doing the shorting and where the failures to delivers are coming from. This is exactly what I was trying to explain to some folks who are involved with the PP show. ABC and others who got really mad at me when I pointed out that Ken Griffin is the largest financial contributor to the Republican campaign since what, 2015. So in the last decade, he's contributed like $500 million to Republican causes. He is getting what he wants, which is no more regulation of his bullshit garbage. That's it. That's their job. And Elon and Doge, they love Ken Griffin. Elon goes to watch World Cup games with Ken Griffin. He goes and has dinner with Ken Griffin. He and Ken Griffin are buddies, right? So Ken Griffin is not a good person. He's a bad person. So anyone who's telling you he's a good person is a moron. He's a terrible human being. He's not there to help us. He's not there to help us figure out where the shortings come from. It's him. He's the cause of all the naked shorting. Not only is he front-running trades through his market maker, he's in communication with his hedge fund side to make money off that as well. And he's also leasing out his market maker abilities to naked short things to other institutions and hedge funds via things like equity swaps and debt swaps. That's what he's doing. He is a fucking criminal. He is a gangster. And he is now going to be basically the shadow in charge of regulation of the SEC, which means no regulation, right? No regulation. And that's how this stuff works. He will go after his competitors and he'll zap them. But he and his friends, they're not going to get in trouble. Just like, you know, if you are here on a green card going to school or a visa going to school and you're an op-ed that is not favorable to the current administration, you're going to go to a gulag. But if you're part of the administration and you illegally use an unsecured phone and app to discuss top secret military plans and somehow include a journalist on these conversations, and you should be basically charged on the Espionage Act, nothing's going to happen to you. You're going to be fine. You're going to have a glowing career to fuck up more things later because you're on the inside. Do you see how it works? That's how an authoritarian regime works. Is you commit the crimes, you're busted. We commit the crimes, we're given a promotion. And you know, Ken Griffin being the shadow lord of the SEC, it's going to be no different. So anything that happens to kill Ken Griffin is going to have to come from market action itself, basically burying him like it did in 2009, where he had to like fight and crawl out because he almost did not survive that one. So our goal is to basically nuke everything he loves so dearly that it vaporizes his collateral and destroys the capital he has, so he doesn't meet the capital requirements to be a market maker anymore. He'll have to be outside of the confines of what the SEC can control at this point. And at the rate that Trump is destroying the economy, it could very well happen. So let's see where it goes, right, Monkey? Oh, you're on the floor. You don't care anymore. She's a floor dog. Fred Jones, Houston. I bet you $5 hairs. There is no announcement on the 7th. I mean, everyone loves their hype dates, and I'm going to kind of agree with you that so far I've been burned so many times. I don't think it's going to happen on the 7th either. T-Doc 119. Happy birthday, Houston. Using your degenerate options play this week, I made 25K on puts, flipped to 80, June 22 calls. Wish me luck. Excellent. Nice, but much better than I did. Kelly Reed, happy birthday, HW. Consumer inflation expectations skyrocket in March. Hit highest level in 30 years. Have you said thank you? Thank you. Yeah, the doom and gloom from consumers is huge right now. The tourism isn't happening. Big purchases aren't happening. Homes aren't selling. It's pretty gnarly. It's gnarly. That's what we're in gnarly zone. Kelly Reed, got to hand it to Jerome for keeping markets up for 4 years. Now Trump House of Cards crumbling. Can he pay me? Indeed. Yeah. It's not that hard to be a president and see an economy go well. You do a couple of things. You don't make tariffs on everything. You don't fire huge amounts of the government workforce that, does things like tells people in southern Texas that there's 16 inches of rain coming, so the entire communities don't get washed away and people die because they had, I don't know if you read about this, about the flooding in southern Texas and along the border of Mexico. More rain than in history. Broke records that are more than 120 years old. People are dying. Standing water is insane. Floods everywhere. 16 inches of rain a day is happening in parts of that region. And they had no warning from the National Weather Service because Elon fired the people who were monitoring that area. Good job. So now we have billions of dollars in damage and lives lost. And we could have prevented much of that. You fire the park rangers who, parks take $3.5 billion a year and generate $55 to $100 billion a year in tourism dollars for the nearby communities. And now no one can go to the parks. So all those towns, the tourism's dead. You got places like Florida and Maine that have a huge number of Canadian tourists that come, and they're not coming anymore. Passenger numbers on flights from Canada are down like 90% just in the month of March alone. That's telling you that they want nothing to do with us. They will go elsewhere. They'll spend their dollars elsewhere. Hawaii used to get a huge number of Hawaiians, a huge number of Canadians. Florida gets a huge number of Canadians, and they're going to go find their tropical jollies somewhere else. They'll go, I don't know, Bermuda, Jamaica, Fiji. They'll go somewhere, and it won't be to American destinations. So those tourism dollars are gone. Pissing off our trade partners, resulting in hundreds of billions of dollars of F-35 orders being canceled. That doesn't do anyone any good. There's an appreciable chunk of our GDP right there. It's not that hard to not be such a horrible dick that the economy can go boom boom. You just sort of have to not be a dick. But it's impossible for Trump. He can't not be a dick because he is 100% dick energy. That's all he has. He is a walking floppy dick, just bouncing around, slap people in the face, and be like, "Did you apologize yet?" And that's basically what he is. So yeah, Jerome Powell is fighting for his life, trying to keep the economy afloat, and it's like bailing out the Titanic with a thimble. At this point, it's inevitable. It's going down. For Jones, I will bet the 10 dog hairs, but no more. I agree with you. You're going to bet somebody else. Moo Poland, is this a good time to buy the dip with GME? What short-term predictions do you see coming? Thanks. I think the fact that they couldn't get it below 21, it's a good chance that this is the dip right now. The floor is getting higher, so it's going to go boink, and then the floor will be higher when it dips, boink, and then we're just going to get this pattern until we get a run. And I think if Ryan Cohen doesn't dilute into the run, it should be good. But I'll hedge accordingly if we get to a Friday that looks like it's going to put, say, 60 or 100 million shares in the money in the options chain. I will definitely split and hedge my bet there. Luis Gonzalez, Brendan Wells, at this point, is anything safer than GME? Luis Gonzalez says, it's the best shot and murky at best with Ryan Cohen doing things that seem contrary to our benefit. I won't be touching anything else on the market unless you know how to play it well, and I don't like it all. I do think that Ryan has something planned. I do think he's got something in the long run. I don't think part of his plans were vaporizing the folks who are his investors regularly whenever there's a push on the price. It's kind of crazy that he does that, but I don't think whatever he's got planned takes into that consideration. Like, hey, if I allow my investors to make a good chunk of money off an options run, they'll have so much more money to invest in my company. That is how I would do it. But I do think he's got something planned. He's just taking forever to do it. Mupulin. Oh, shoot, Mupulin. He just vanished. What happened here? Where'd you go? I lost you. Oh, there we go. Also, is the payment of the bonds for Bed Bath independent of the lawsuit against the board? Meaning, are they on separate timelines? Can we hear merger news even while being held up in Chapter 11? Yes. So the disappearance of the unsecured creditors from Pacer is independent of the lawsuit with the board. So it's telling me that somebody or something has paid off the unsecured creditors, or they dropped their claims for some reason, which I don't think they have, and that the board lawsuit can still continue. In the plan, they say that the company can reemerge while still clawing back money in as part of the estate. So yeah, it's entirely possible. Mark Adams, I'm ready to see that bottle of Martinelli's again. Oh man, it's being aged well right now. It's still in the fridge, still chill, still waiting. Striker 747, hello Houston. Now financial advice. Good time to buy weekly puts on Nazi Tesla. Looks like I'm gonna throw cash at puts Tuesday right before close. And we'll see what happens on Wednesday. The date of the tariff announcements are supposed to all go through. I mean, he could burn me and Trump be like, psych, I'm not going to do any tariffs today. Ha 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 ha. And then the market goes, whee. But we'll see. Chris Taylor, inflation worries means buy puts for me. Yes. Ned Bass. I'm surprised that Goldberg didn't just assume the Signal chat was a recreation of the Office Space scene where they swore themselves to secrecy before the neighbor chimed in through the wall. Don't worry about me, dude. Jason Blackwell, Houston, a flat earther told me the members of his flat earth society span the globe. That's an old one, but yeah. Yes. I had a coworker be like, how do I explain to my girlfriend and her dad that the earth is round? Oh my God. Just send them to me. What I do is I show, first of all, just like take this picture of Lake Pontchartrain and just show that. I showed this one before, but like Pontchartrain, curve of earth. I've showed you guys this one before, but like it is an excellent example. So these are power cables that go across Lake Pontchartrain in Louisiana, showing you that the earth is curved. Because if the earth wasn't curved, that's what the perspective would be like. And it's such an easy example to show the earth is curved. My favorite flat earther proving the earth is round was they had a laser. They're like, okay, if I go out onto Pyramid Lake in California and I have this laser 6 feet above the water surface and I fire it at, this thing on shore that's 6 feet above the surface, if the earth is round, the laser will miss the hole and hit the board because, it'll be an angle, right? So he goes out there and he fires a laser and it does exactly what it would do if the earth was round. And they're like, I don't get it. What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. You proved that the earth is round. Good job. You did it. Woo! Now it's time for you to believe your results because you did everything properly to do an experiment and proved the null hypothesis. And the earth is round. So, there you go. So, when in doubt, show flat earthers this, and they have no answer for it. Okay. Just Mammy says Jason Blackwell coming in hot. Peachy Sunday. What a devastating trading day, Houston. Did any of your plays print any money? Oh, hell no. No, I was hoping for $23 and it kept going to like $22.95 and then coming right back down again. Max Payne was $26.50. At least I thought so. Max Payne, let's see what was it $26.50 yesterday. Max Payne today came back down to 24. So they still missed Max Payne by a couple of bucks. Yeah. So, options riders lost some money on that one. Jason Blackwell, Houston, a two-dimensional creature told me he was going to New York City. He'll be traveling on a plane. Anyway, hey, now I'm to the start of the show, and it's 4:32. I got to go away. So. We made it. It took me an hour to get through the first chats of the show, and I'm at the beginning of the show. And Alexander Casing, happy birthday! Just maybe telling Jason Blackwell keep them coming. I won't see any more if you have those more. So yeah, I will catch you guys probably in 2 weeks, or 10 days, or whenever it is. Again, if things go absolutely crazy wild, I'll try to whip out my phone and do something that way. But otherwise, life's hit me hard next week. I have a lot of work I got to do because I've been, as you can see, procrastinating. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. All right, let's blow up the roll one more time. Bing. Oh, it didn't happen. Try one more time. Oh.
I like when you rapid fire answer questions. That's the best. I'm going to steal that. I don't know in what context or what I'll do it, but that is absolutely the best.
Oh, I'm still on live. What the heck?